Hey guys, and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to show you how to make another hook-only bracelet. I know I keep hitting you with the hook-only bracelets. And this is what it looks like. It's got this cool little like woven ball thing in the middle. And I call it the monkey paw bracelet because it kind of reminds me of a monkey paw knot. If you like Google what that looks like, I think it looks pretty similar to these knots that are in the middle of the bracelet. So here are all my different ones. You can see I did one where the knots are all one color. You can also make your knots 2 different colors, or you can use 4 different colors on your knots, which is what I'm going to be doing in the tutorial today, just so you guys can see what that looks like, and so you can more easily see what's going on while I make the bracelet. And as you can see here, you may have noticed that for some of these I used alpha bands, and for this one I used just regular old bands. So I'll be using regular bands in this tutorial as well, so you can see what that looks like, since I'm assuming most of you guys are going to probably use regular bands. But yeah, I keep coming up with patterns to try to use up a lot of my alpha bands, because I don't really make a lot of alpha bracelets. So it's a good option for that if you also have a lot that you want to use up. So getting into materials as usual. So first is we got 17 knots total. That's for my wrist size. Again, my wrist is pretty tiny. And like I said, I'm going to be doing the 4-color version of the knots. And so I'm going to be using 4 different colors. Like I said, if you want to make the knots all one color, you can do that. If you want to make them 2 different colors, whatever you want to do, but I'll be using 4 colors. And so for the one I'm going to make in the video, I'm going to be using light green, dark green, teal, and blue. And so you just need 17 of each of those. If you did 2 colors, you'd need 34 of each color. And then if you did just 1 color, then you'd need 68 total of that color. And then next are the connector bands. So that's what I'm calling, like in this bracelet, it would be the black bands. I call them that because they kind of run through the knots and hold them all together. And so I need 36 of those. In this case, I'm using white. And then you're going to need 74 bands for your fishtails on the side of your bracelet. And I'm going to be using purple for that. So that's going to be 37 fishtails for each side. And then you'll also need 36 C-clips to use while you're making your bracelet, but you're only going to actually use up 2 at the end to fasten your bracelet. So that's all the materials that we got. And of course, hooks, you can use a double-ended hook, or you can use a regular old rainbow loom hook. Either one works because you won't need a ton of hook space. I feel like a broken record saying that, but yeah, you won't need a ton of hook space. So with all that out of the way, I'm going to show you how to make your little knots. And so like I said, I'm going to be using light green, dark green, teal, and blue. And so I got these 4 colors here. And the way that you want to thread them on your hook is specific, I guess. Let me explain how this works. So you can see here I go in this order from blue to teal to green to dark green to light green. And you're going to thread 2 of these onto one of your connector bands. And the 2 that you want to thread on are the 2 that aren't right next to each other. So for example, I'm going to do light green and teal is what I'm going to thread on first. So those are the first 2 bands you pick up. And again, if you were using just 2 colors, these would both be the same exact color, but since I'm using 4 colors, I'm doing these 2. So first you're going to just put one on as a cap band, and then put the other one on as a cap band as well. So you got them both on your hook as cap bands. And then after you do that, you're going to take one of your connector bands. Like I said, I'm using white. And then just pull it through everything on your hook. And then after you do that, you're going to take one of your C-clips and clip that white band. And then take it off your hook for now. So you can see it looks a little messy right now, but you got that white band and you just threaded it through 2 different other bands. So I'm going to set that off to the side real quick, And then I'm going to take my other two bands, oops, in this case, the blue and the dark green, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with those two. So I'm going to do 2 cat bands onto my hook, pick up a connector band, and then just pull it through everything and clip it. So now you got these 2 different little doodads right here. And then you're going to take one of them and you're going to start your little knot weaving process in the middle. And so it doesn't really matter where you start for your first knot. So I'm just going to start with this teal on the right here and my light green on the left. And I'm going to put this teal back on my hook. Make sure you get both loops on that hook there. And another consideration, if you're doing 2 colors for your knots or just 1 color, it might be kind of hard to tell, you know, which half belongs to what band, if that makes sense. Like if you had a 2-color one, these 2 bands, this light green and this teal, they would both be the exact same color. So you got to be careful that when you put your cat band on the hook, that it is all part of the same band, that it's not like half and half like this. And you can kind of tell by pulling on it. If it does this, then you can tell obviously I've got 2 different band halves going on. But if I have the correct one, I can kind of pull it apart like this and I can very obviously see, oh, I have 2 different bands here. So this is what you want. So I got that going on there, the right band on my hook, and then I'm going to take my other little half. And you can see here we got light green and teal. And if you'll remember, dark green goes between them because I'm doing like a little gradient deal going on here. So we know, okay, we want this dark green in between these 2 colors. And so that is the band that we're going to pick up right now. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take this dark green, put the whole thing on your hook. Again, double check that you have just 1 band here and that they're not putting on 2 halves of 2 different bands. So put that on your hook. And then you're just going to kind of go over this green band and then just pull the dark green band through the teal, just like that. So the only thing on the green cat band right now is the teal. Now that you've done that, you're going to thread through the blue band. You're going to do it a little bit differently. So you'll see you got this so far. And what you want to do is you want to pick up this green band, this light green band right here, and you're going to pull it up through the dark green band, but before the teal band. So I'm going to give you like an overhead view here. In this hole right here, this dark green hole, you're going to pull that light green up and through it. So to do this, I like to take my hook, kind of push that teal out of the way, get it underneath there, and then grab that light green, and then pull that dark green band over it. So you can see here that light green got pulled up and through the dark green. It shouldn't be going over the dark green should be going over the light green. So now that you got that on your hook, now you're going to take this blue, put it on your hook, and then you're going to pull it through just the light green. You're not going to pull it through the dark green, just the light green. And you may need to tug on it just to straighten it out a little bit. And so after this point, you have a blue and a dark green on your hook currently. Alright, so I know that was a lot. I'm probably going to explain it again in depth for the next knot, just so you guys are clear on it. But yeah, this is your current situation right here. Alright, so the next thing that you'll want to do is you're going to, before you pull the white band through, what you're going to do is you're going to grab 2 bands that are not the colors that are on your hook. So right now we got a blue and dark green. So that means I'm going to grab a teal and a light green. And I'm going to put those on my hook as cap bands. And so I'm going to put them in the order of teal and then light green, because you can kind of see that's what happened here. We had teal, then light green. Even if you don't put them in the right order, you can still flip them around later. And then after I do that, I'm going to take a connector band and pull it through everything. Now that I got that all secured, I'm going to clip this connector band and drop it off. Right, so you got your knot almost completely formed and secured here, and then you just attached on some extra bands. Alright, so now that we've finished that, we're going to flip it. And then you might have guessed, we got to pick up these other two bands. So we picked up the blue and the dark green. Now we got to pick up the light green and the teal. So the light green's pretty easy to grab. Just put your hook in there. But the teal, you can see it's kind of underneath there a little bit. You're going to do the same sort of thing that you did earlier. And you're going to go through that blue to grab those two teal band halves. So you have a green, light green, and a teal on your hook currently. And then, as you may have guessed, you got to put in your missing colors. So in this case, you got a teal and a light green. So you got to add a blue and a dark green to your hook. So I'm going to do dark green first, and then blue. Cap that on there. After you got everything on your hook, take a connector band and pull it through everything. And then of course you clip it. Alright, so right now it might look a little messy because you got these cap bands up here, crowding it just a little bit. But you should start to see a little knot form. And if you did it correctly, you should see like a nice little gradient going on. So we got light green, dark green, teal, blue, if you're doing a 4-color combination like I am. So now that you've finished that first knot, since we attached those cap bands earlier, we're all ready to go to start our second knot. And I like to start the second knot, well, I'll explain how it's easiest for me. See, if you see here, if you look at your previous knot, you can see that you'd pull that light green through and then over like that. And you can do it that way, but I prefer to flip it and end by pulling my band through another band, if that makes sense. So you can see here, if I hold it this way, I have a vertical band here in this teal at the very bottom right corner. And so that's where I like to do it when I make my next knot. So you'll see what I mean by this in a minute. So first of all, you want to set up your bands on your hook. So if you look at your previous knot, always look back at your previous knot. It's important to see how you imitate the exact same thing in the next knot. You can see on the very left I have a light green for looking vertically, and then on the very right I have a teal. And so I'm going to set up my bands the same sort of way. And so the green, you actually don't need to put it on your hook, but you do need to put the teal on your hook. So do that, put the teal on your hook, and then make sure that green is on the left yet again. So right now, my teal kind of wants to be on the left, so I'm just going to scoot my green over as best I can. Come on, green. Trying to get in there and pinch it. There we go. So I pulled that green through, now it's in the right spot. And so now that I've got that, I've got my teal on my hook completely on the right, and that light green off my hook on the left. Then I'm going to again look back at my previous knot, and now I'm going to look at my horizontal bands of the knot. So if I look at that, on the bottom I have a dark green, and on the top I have the blue. And so we're going to repeat that again. So that means I'm not worried about the blue right now, I'm just going to kind of push that to the side. But I am worried about the green. So I'm going to find that green and put it on my hook. Put both halves of the green band on my hook. And again, if you're doing a 1 or 2 color knot, make sure you're picking up all of the correct band. So do that little tug trick that I showed you, or spread them aside like this so you can clearly see, okay, that's 2 different bands. So now you got this, and you're going to repeat the same steps that you did for the last knot. You're just going to pull both bands of that dark green through the teal. And now that you've finished that, you're going to reach into this dark green to get your light green. So you might want to stretch it a bit, dig around in there to get both halves of your light green. There we go. So put both of those on your hook. Now that you got that, you're going to take both halves of your blue band, put those on your hook, and then just pull it through your light green band. And you'll want to double check yourself. Okay, does it look like my bands are in the same color order as the previous knot? And yeah, looks like we got it. So if you again tilt it a little bit, you can see, okay, light green, teal, vertical, then light green, teal, vertical. And then I got dark green, blue, horizontal, dark green, blue, horizontal. So we're good to go. And now we can just add our white connector bands and attach our new knot bands for the next row. So again, look at your hook. We got a dark green and we got a blue. That means we have to add a teal and a green. So that's what we're gonna do. Grab a teal and grab a green. And again, I like to look back previously. So you can see here, okay, previous row teal and light green. So I'm gonna do teal, light green, and then take my connector band, pull it through everything. And then clip your connector band. You're going to flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. So again, make sure you get both of your cat bands. So the light green's pretty easy to grab, but make sure you dig around in that blue to get your teal. So again, light green, teal, that means we need a dark green and a blue. So dark green and blue. Pull your connector band through all those. And clip it. Come on, C-clip. Alright, so now you got your bands ready for the next one. And I like to, again, flip it again and look previously. And in the bottom right corner, I like to see, okay, that vertical band is the one going over the other band. And then I know I'm in the same position to do same exact steps that I did previously. Alright, so you basically just repeat that process until you get to the end. The end is just slightly different. Basically, you don't add these cat bands at the very end, but I'll show you how to do that once I get mine long enough to fit around my wrist. So I'm gonna go finish this off camera, and then I'll show you how to finish the center bit with the knots, and then I'll show you how to attach the fishtails on the sides. Alright, I am back, and I have completed almost this entire middle bit. It should look something like this. And you'll want to double check, you know, if you're doing the 4 colors like I am in the same way I am, that everything looks good, they're all woven the same, all the colors are in the same position. And I've stopped at the point where I'm about to, you know, put cat bands on and pull a white band through. But instead of doing that, I'm just going to skip adding the cat bands. So I've woven, I'm not adding cat bands, and then I'm just going to take my white connector band, pull it through, and clip it. And then flip to the other side and do the same thing. So I'll pick up my green, light green. Then I'll dig around in my blue to pick up my teal. And then, like the previous side, not going to add any cap bands. I'm just going to pull my connector band through and then clip it. So now I got this whole entire middle piece all done. And as I mentioned, next step is we're just going to add our fishtails along the side. And if you look at this bracelet, you'll really see it's more like a half fishtail. I single chain on the inside here, and then it's just fishtailed on the edge. So that's just a warning of what to expect in a second. And like I said, I'm going to be doing purple, this like double layered, there we go, purple that I got here. And so first step, take one of your fishtail colors, just make it a cap band on your hook. And then you're going to pick up your little strip that you made earlier, and you're going to start at one of your ends. It doesn't matter which one, just start somewhere. And you're going to put 1/2 of one of your connector bands on your hook. So you're going to do that. Then you're going to pull through another border band. So you're going to pull it through everything on your hook, so that white connector band as well as your cap band. And then you're going to put the right side of your cap band back on your hook and nothing else. So you're just going to drop that other end back on your hook. So you should have 3 bands. You should have, oops, cap band will want to do that a bit. You should have one near the inside here and then 2 fishtail bands on the right like that. And then next you're going to pick up that other half of that connector band and put that on your hook. And then you're going to take another fishtail border band, pull it through everything. Again, your cap band might want to act a little funky, so be careful about that. Pull it through everything. And then again, you're only going to pick up one of your bands. You're going to pick up that fishtail band right in there. So the cap band should be completely off your hook at this point. So you're fishtailing on this side, single chaining on the other side. And you can see here, you know, we finished off this first connector band. If you want, you can unclip your C-clips as you go, or you can just wait till the end. I prefer to wait till the end. It reduces my risk of dropping any bands. So I'll show you how to unclip those at the end. But yeah, you're basically just going to repeat this process until you get to the very other end. So I'm going to show you one more time just so you see it again. So pick up 1/2 of a connector band, take a fishtail band, pull it through everything on your hook, making sure that your fishtail bands stay in order, and then pick up that band right there, that outer band, and that's it. And then now you pick up the other half of your connector band, and then do that same fishtailing process. Pull a band through everything, and then fishtail on the right, single chain on the left. Alright, so that's basically what you're repeating as you go along the side. So yeah, just fishtailing on a new border band every time. And you will put a white band on your hook every single purple band that you fishtail on, so you're not like taking any breaks, taking any gaps in between them, just going straight along there. So like I said, I'm going to finish that up on this side, show you how to finish it, and then start the other fishtail for the other side. Alright, so I am back. I'm almost done with fishtailing up this side, and I'm just at the last little connector band. So I'm just going to fishtail those bands on normally. So 1 and 2. So now I've got all my connector bands on that side all done, figured out all that fun stuff. And then now I'm just going to clip my remaining bands. So if you wanted to, if you have like smaller C-clips, you can drop off this fishtail band here and then clip this portion. But since I have big C-clips, I'm just gonna clip the entire thing. And it probably would fit on a small C-clip as well, but I like to use big C-clips if I have more than 2 bands on the clip. So I'm gonna do that. And you may be out of clips at this point. You can just steal one of these from the back there if you need it. But yeah, I'm just gonna clip those 3 bands. Then I'll be done with this fishtail over here. So that's all secure. And like I said, you got a bunch of clips on the back. You can just undo all of those now. You don't need them. It'll also make your bracelet look a lot nicer once these are off. So I'm just gonna unclip all these. You're only unclipping the ones on the side with the fishtail that you just finished. You're gonna leave the other ones for now because you haven't done that fishtail yet. And like I said, if you wanted, you could have undone these as you went with your fishtail. Like as soon as you picked up all the bands on one clip, you could just take the clip off. But I think it's satisfying to pull them all off at the end like this. Alrighty, and I'm on to the last one. Alright, so I got all my clips off there. And you should see it should start to loosen up a little bit, look a lot nicer than how it did earlier, thankfully. So that is one fishtail done. And then you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So literally just repeat the exact same steps that you did earlier for the first purple fishtail on this side as well. So I'm gonna go do that off camera. I'll come back to show you how to fasten it and then end the video. Alright, so I am back. I have finished up my other fishtail, like I said, just like how I did the previous fishtail on the side. Should look something like this. I also took off the C-clips, as you can see. Haha. And you might notice this is the one that I just finished. It's a little rough looking on the side of the fishtail, and I fixed up this other one. So you may want to go in and just kind of give your bands that aren't laying correctly, just give them a little tug, and that should help fix it. And you can also do this with your center knots. If you want them to look a little smoother, you can just kind of poke around with it so that you don't have any like overlaps in your cat bands, in your knots. So you may want to just tug at it a little, mess around with it if it's not looking the way that you like. And then of course when you're done with that, then you can just take your C-clips and finish it off. So I'm going to take this C-clip. Should be pretty easy to see your cat band. You can clip it like that. And then take your other C-clip and just do the same thing. And there's your bracelet. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a lot of fun making this bracelet, coming up with a good color combination. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I should have at least one more that I'm planning to get out. So I'll see you guys in that video. Get excited.